I'll think of something by Lord Thrasher. Darkness. It was cold, dark, and quiet, except for a quiet humming in the distance. The darkness faded into a blur of colors upon awakening. A living reminder that she was still alive, she fell asleep on her desk at work again. Chapter 1.
I sighed and slammed my head on the desk. Another all-nighter. I can't believe it. I fell asleep at my desk. Again, I muttered to myself. If there was anything I hated most, it was the human need for sleep. I found it strange. I couldn't remember anything from my dream, except for a flash of purple and green. Something might have laughed, but I can't remember. Usually I remember them, my dreams, but there's more important things to worry about. I need to get my work done before I get caught sleeping again. I rummaged through my drawer on my desk and pulled out a hairbrush and brushed my tangled, long white mane that I call hair. I fixed my hair clip to keep the majority of my bangs out of my face, and then replaced my brush back so I could reorganize my messy desk and papers that got strewn about by my sudden blackout. I grabbed 2 hair ties and took my ankle-length hair and put them into twin tails. I don't remember what caused it, but my hair wasn't always white. It used to be a nice warm gold color, like the color that could only be described as the color of a midsummer's eve. My eyes are an electric blue, and they always seem to spark with a flash of lightning, most people say. But I digress. People always stare at me and find a way to bring it into the conversation. I'm also often shunned for my hair. People must think of me as someone who dyed my hair thousands of times and is completely obsessed with body modifications. That's the main reason why I work by myself, so people won't find themselves staring at me. I work at Wayne Enterprises. I'm one of Bruce Wayne's top scientists and developers. I usually just make small little useful machines like the miniature stun gun, which I successfully trademarked. On occasion, he helps me build some pretty odd things. He tells me to make only one of them and orders me to never talk about them. I'm pretty sure he sells them to some shady people. I'm sure that would make some good money. I finished fixing the papers, and they were now stacked neatly on my desk. My office supplies looking nice and neat, as always. It makes life easier if things are organized. It helps me find whatever I need faster. That's just the way my brain works. I was finishing up the final blueprints for the new item, the UKD headset, or the Umbrokinesis development headset. It's supposed to help people develop a mental ability known as Umbrokinesis, the ability to make shadows move with your mind. I work in my own office, which gives me more privacy from the kind of work that I do. No one to look over my shoulder, claim my work for their own, or to leak it into the wrong hands. My office was a fairly decent-sized room. It had no windows. The walls were mint green, and there was a mahogany desk pushed up against the wall by the door. Around the corner was the kitchen, where I normally made myself snacks when I got peckish, which wasn't often. I tend to forget to eat in the first place. I never go in there unless I truly need to. A swivel chair with black leather seating sat underneath the desk. There was a leather recliner back against the wall, with a lamp tucked in the corner behind it. It was a cozy little room, and it almost felt like I lived in there. I spent most time in here. It just felt so safe. It felt so private, so secluded and away from people who would force me to speak. My red hoodie, which I always wore under my lab coat, was covered with filth. I had been there all night, after all. It's better to get my hoodie dirty than my lab coat. I decided it was best to head home while I still had the idea of leaving in my mind. I headed out of my office and stood by the elevator when my boss stepped out from his office. Miss Ames Libris, have you finished with the blueprints? It looks as if you stayed the whole night. He crossed his arms and leaned against the doorframe. Yes, sir, I stuttered. I finished and revised them. It would seem you're also correct. I did stay the night. I looked down at my shoes. He seemed pleased as far as I could tell. His emotions were hard to read. Bruce Wayne's face was always hardened and serious around me. Go home. Take tomorrow and take the day to rest. You worked hard enough. I believe in hard work, not self-punishment. He stood up. Take the day to rest? What time is it? I asked, confused by what he meant. 11:15. He saw the look on my face and clarified. In the morning. But, sir, I can't do that. I have other things to design, and I protested. He raised his hand and I shut my mouth. He rubbed his forehead and looked at me with those hardened blue eyes of his. You need to go home. You're going to make yourself sick staying up for days at a time like this. I'll have to suspend you if you don't take a day or two off. If I see you in work for the next 3 days, I'll be forced to put you out, he said gruffly. I sighed. Yes, sir, I mumbled and held back a yawn. I stepped into the elevator and waved to him goodbye until the doors closed. I felt defeated. 3 days off? What was I going to do in that time? I sighed and leaned my head against the back of the elevator. I guessed fresh air wouldn't hurt me. I knew I needed sleep. Coffee never seemed to do the trick for me, let alone the fact that I hate coffee. It's not a nice feeling waking up and discovering you drooled all over your blueprints. I walked down the street, feeling the warm sunlight against my face. The light hurt my eyes and made me wish I brought sunglasses with me. But overall, it felt nice. My lab coat flapped in the wind, reminding me that I forgot to hang it up before I left the building. No harm in taking it home, I suppose. The sun was getting to be too bright for my eyes, so I covered my eyes with my red hood and continued going down the street to my nearby apartment, which also happened to be owned by Bruce Wayne. I put the key in the lock and opened the door to my room. It was almost identical how I customized my office at work, except for the fact that I had 2 doors on the walls, one for my bedroom and the other for the bathroom, as well as windows. One of the windows was connected to the fire escape. I walked to my desk and lifted up a small 3x4 picture frame. I looked down at it for a while and smiled, stroking it with my finger. I'll see you soon. We just need to hold out a little while longer, I whispered to myself. I set the picture down where it was before and went to the kitchen. I hadn't eaten in a while, so I decided to make myself some cheesecake waffles. I sat down on the couch and picked up a remote, turning on the TV. I watched a few children's cartoons as I ate. In my mind, you're never too old for cartoons. Once I finished my meal, I went to my room, shut the blinds, and fell asleep. I was too tired to shower, and sleep was the number one thing on the list of things I needed. It was dark when I woke up. I yawned and stretched, getting out of my bed, and took myself to the bathroom to shower. Most of the time I was in there was just me dozing off again and contemplating my life choices. I scrubbed myself down and washed my hair before turning off the water and getting out. I dried myself off and wrapped up in a towel before going to the kitchen. I glanced at the clock. It read 9:30, past dinner time. I made myself a quick dinner and ate it in silence. The only thing this break from work did for me was give me enough time to sleep, take care of myself, and get started on my plans. 3 days was all I needed. I was about to start something big, something that if I did well enough, I would never be able to just leave. 3 days was all I needed.
Chapter 1, End.